been a long time since I've thumbed my way through the book of Chronicles. But now and then I get my Bible down to go through some of the old paths and passages that have been so much a part of my life for so many years. And just the other day I came across this prayer of Jabez. I'd like you to underline it in your Bible if you take the time to do that. I'd like you to look it up sometime. But this man was a very, very interesting man. And this prayer that he prayed is such an unusual prayer, probably a kind of blueprint for prayer, a model is the word I'm looking for the kind of prayers you and I should give. Let's read these words from the Old Testament, and then I'd like to just comment on them briefly. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, "Oh, that thou wouldst bless me indeed, and enlarge my coast, and that thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldst keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me." And God granted him that which he requested. Now, there are two things about this that strike me. First of all, is this man's great intensity, and the prayer that he prays is one coming out of his own heart and talking about his own self in light of his feeling of his personal need. The second thing that, of course, concludes the prayer, or at least comes at the end of it, is this simple little statement that just seems so matter-of-fact that it's like a postscript. Oh, by the way, and God granted him that which he requested. I think we need to understand that prayer is not just sending an order to the great supermarket in the sky and expecting results. But there's something very significant about prayer, the expressing of inner feelings. My honest conviction is that prayer, if it's just intellectual wordage, is not prayer at all, and you might as well save your time, your effort, your energy, and your breath. Prayer is the longing, the expression of the beingness, the feeling of outreach from within yourself. Jabez's prayer is a model of that. His first says that he asks God to bless him indeed. And this is not the prayer of a selfish man asking just to feel good. It's a man reaching for more than he's got, wanting something that he can receive. That feelingness that we sense sometimes of need, of knowing that there's more, knowing that there's a greater potential, reaching out for it and believing for it. Then he adds this other little thought, "Oh, that thou wouldst enlarge my coast." I like that. It talks to me about the things I've been talking to you about. Here's the prayer of a man that doesn't want to stay at status quo. If you want to translate that into purely materialistic terminology, I guess you could, but I doubt that. I doubt that's what the man was talking about. I think what he was after was that he would be more than he was now. You know, it's sad for people to be so satisfied, or at least so dulled in their way of life that they think no more of progress, but they just allow themselves to be. Acceptance can be deadly when it is the dull kind of acceptance that has no promise in it. But here's a man still alive, still going, still growing, greatly yearning, pushing the perimeters of his borders out, wanting to become more than he is. My friend, I wonder what would happen if you prayed that kind of a prayer. Very simply and honestly, you verbalized from deep within yourself the longing for more than you have, a desire to have an enlarged coast. I think the most unfortunate things that happen to human beings is when they get satisfied to the point where they have a limit to their potentiality. Some of that limitation comes out of a belief system, an idea, that this is all I can possibly be. Jabez never felt that at all. He felt that he could be more than he was, and so the moreness keeps coming out. He says, "that thy hand may be with me." That's another expression from the Old Testament. his acknowledgement of the divine force within himself, the recognition that God was there helping him and doing it. I hope that you have that humility of spirit, that you can acknowledge that divine force, that energy that God grants, the givingness of God to man. Acknowledge it loudly in your prayer if need be, but at least openly and sincerely. And then he said, keep me from evil that it may not grieve me. I kind of like that. Jabez wasn't really concerned about what God was thinking. He wasn't locked into the idea that he had to be afraid and he had to try and please God. He knew that if he didn't grow, what would be the end result would be disappointment, that he would be grieved if it didn't work. One of the sad things that we do in our life is grieve ourselves. That's why a lot of people have so much self-anger. People are very upset with themselves because they know they have not lived up to their own potential. I'd like to just end this little talk with you this morning, this chat that we're having. I'd like to talk to you about something I've been thinking about a lot. You hear so much about behavioral skills. The importance of being able to enhance your income and your life by becoming proficient at something you can do well. There are many people who have never been able to get a good job in life because they are not skilled. Now, skill takes desire and it takes practice. I got to thinking a little bit, what about some sensitivity skills? What would happen if, along with the behavioral practicing that we do, we did some sensitivity practicing? I would like to see people understand the fact that you can become more proficient in anything if you'll allow yourself the time, space, and opportunity to make it happen. What if we enhanced our sensitivity skills and became more proficient in the expression of affection? Do you know how to do that? You do it by doing it. You do it by doing it more often than you do. You do it by feeling embarrassed when you do it sometimes, but doing it anyway. What if we enhanced our sensitivity skill, the ability to express warmth and tenderness? Some of you listening to me have many feelings that never come out. Things that go on inside of you that are of great import, gentle, kind, loving feelings. But you don't know how to express them. That's a sensitivity skill. I think the ability to give and take feelings, that means even including anger, is something that one can become proficient at. Instead of being sensitive to the point of reaction, why not let that energy that sensitivity produces help you to do the thing that you want to do? That means being more assertive with yourself. In fact, that's a sensitivity skill. When did you last say out loud, I'm important, or my opinions count, or I have the right to do this? I'd like you to get a mirror a little bit and practice. Why don't you practice today? Being more affectionate, being more warm and tender. Let the words out. Some people who feel love can never talk love. Some way they feel that cheapens it. They sort of feel that everybody out there should understand it. If you really loved me, you would know I love you. Says who? It doesn't work that way, my friend. It's important to perform, not perfunctorily, but with an ability and a finesse. And that's possible if you practice. It's that old saw you've heard me say many, many, many times before. Everybody wants to play the piano, but nobody wants to practice. Those kinds of skills don't come naturally, no matter what anybody says. People talk about people with a gift of gab, etc., etc. There's certain personality tendencies that people have, I grant you. But all of these sensitivity skills are enhanced by the practice of them.